Hello and welcome to Game On, Journey to the NCAA Championship. I'm Matt Schick alongside former Texas Longhorns linebacker, NFL veteran, and ESPN football analyst Sam Acho.
24 teams have their sights set on Nashville, Tennessee for the Division I Football Championship Subdivision title game on January 5th.
It has been a roller coaster ride for a number of teams, like the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. We'll bring you the comebacks, the dynasties, and the miracles straight ahead on Game On.
The Dakota Dynasty lives on.
North Dakota State. They're staring a number 1 overall seed in the FCS playoffs right in the face.
What are we willing to sacrifice to accomplish something we will remember for the rest of our lives? Grab a shovel and dig.
So many kids from the state of Montana. This is their Super Bowl.
This is a cool rivalry. There's a lot of cool stuff about it.
Knowing that he was going to be the starter playing against Army, that was what he's worked his whole life for.
And it is good! The Texans have done it!
Kick is up. It's good! And Harvard has won.
The reigning FCS national champion North Dakota State Bison are looking to keep their undefeated streak going and finish with another title.
And if history has anything to say about it, we will see North Dakota State in Nashville in January. The Bison already have the most all-time championship appearances and the most titles.
It is a championship run unmatched in the sport. We could be in the midst of another decade of dominance.
Under 20 seconds to go. Kaminsky going up top. Intercepted at the goal line. Missouri Valley Football Conference champions for an 11th time.
For North Dakota State, the FCS playoffs is a rite of passage. For the 16th consecutive season, the Bison are playoff bound. And for the 16th straight year, they'll begin their championship quest on their home field.
No surprise that the Bison are here again. The formula really has not changed for this powerhouse program.
Even in its Division II days, North Dakota State was a force to be reckoned with 5 national championships from 1983 to 1990.
Wide open in the end zone.
But it was nothing like this. Since moving up from Division II in 2004, green and yellow has been the gold standard.
The first FCS title in North Dakota State history.
10 national championships in a 14-year span, including an unprecedented run of 5 straight from 2011 to 2015, building not just a dynasty, but an empire.
The first team in FCS history to win a 7th national championship.
The sign of a dominant program isn't just scoring points and causing turnovers, but withstanding coaching turnover. From Craig Bohl to Chris Kleiman to Matt Entz to Tim Polasek, North Dakota State hasn't missed a beat.
And the North Dakota State dynasty stampedes forward.
And they rarely get beat. The Bison have played in 56 FCS playoff games. Their record, 51-5. And they're once again ready to defend their national championship, something they've successfully done 6 times.
The Dakota Dynasty lives on.
And the trophy he was holding up there last year is now behind him, as we are joined now by second-year head coach Tim Polasek. Tim, congrats on being the top seed in a great season so far. This is your 3rd stint with the Bison. Started as a GA in 2006, left, came back as an assistant, left, returned now as head coach. So you were here when it all started. How would you describe the journey of this program over the last 20 years?
Well, a lot of hard work and a really clear, concise plan by Craig Bohl laying the foundation down. And then 3 coaches were really fortunate to take that plan, put a little spin on it, a little twist here and there. And it's just been outstanding, to continue to try to execute what Coach Bohl started and try to do it better than it's ever been done before, year in and year out.
Coach, we talked about the last 20 years. I want to talk about the transition from last year. Y'all won a championship last year, but what are the differences between last year's team and this year's team?
Well, we're most certainly not as experienced up front, in the offensive line. And I think those guys, the amount of individual improvement we've made in the O-line is really remarkable. They're starting to put it together, where we're going 5 for 5. We're connected up front in the O-line. Our quarterback's a little bit different player for sure. He's a 6'3", 233-pound athlete that's really come on as a thrower as well. And he can hurt you with his arms and his legs. And I think our receiver group is as good as we've ever had at North Dakota State. I think it's one of the top groups in FCS. And so we're leveraging those things offensively. Defensively, we have a legendary great group of 3 linebackers that leads us, and we continue to get better and better up front. And we're actually supported by a really veteran group now, or an experienced group in the back end. So we're playing great team football. Our special teams have had a great season, being explosive. Really like the complementary football, and we're making people line up and beat us.
Well, you certainly have been hard to beat, and it's a place that the national championship isn't just the goal every year. It has certainly turned into an expectation. How do the players deal with the weight of expectation that are on this program on an annual basis?
Yeah, we try not to talk about championships and national titles. We keep that gear stuffed away. You can't wear that stuff in the facility once we get back, if we're fortunate to play in the national title. But honestly, it comes down to 3 things, 3 goals for us, which is learn how to eliminate distractions. That's all the noise of people telling us how good we are, people telling us how bad we played from week to week, and just staying focused on the team and getting better and improving. The second goal we always have is to try to establish home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And then the third thing that has been deep rooted into our program, I would say as far back as 1965, is we want to lead the country in physicality. We want to be the toughest group. And so we try to stay singular minded on those 3 goals year in and year out. And we want to keep our core values at the forefront, which are compete, improve, tough. And if we stay focused on those things and keep the main thing, we feel like that continuous improvement is possible.
Coach, one more for you before you go. Who embodies that mentality on your team, this year's team? Who embodies that the best?
Well, I'd probably start with Cole Payton, our quarterback, for sure. I think we have several coaches. We have 4 coaches on our staff that played here. Grant Olson, most certainly, our defensive coordinator, does. Defensively, it's hard to single out a guy, but I would probably have to pick our captain, Logan Kopp. He does an unbelievable job. Jackson Dutenheffer's a North Dakota kid. Those guys. But listen, our whole team is embracing the idea of what it means to have Bison pride and to be a Bison, and we're so grateful for that.
Coach, thanks so much. Best of luck on perhaps another championship run. We appreciate the time.
Thank you, guys. Go Bison.
Of the 24 teams in the FCS playoffs, 11 are conference champions like North Dakota State, and 13 are selected by the committee. Top 8 seeds get first-round byes like North Dakota State, Montana, Tarleton State, Texans. More on them later in the show. Lehigh, back-to-back Patriot League champs. Mercer will host a playoff game in Macon, Georgia after winning the Southern Conference. Stephen F. Austin, the Southland champs, the Lumberjacks, and UC Davis. Wide receiver Samuel Batu and the Aggies out of the Big Sky round out the top 8 seeds. Who out of the top 8 stands out to you?
Stephen F. Austin, the number 7 seed. They have a punt returner named Bugs Mortimer. 4 punt return touchdowns, a single season record. He's electric. But it's not just him, it's the team as a whole. They've won 10 straight games, all by double digits, after starting 0-2. So this Stephen F. Austin team, which will be hosting potentially Abilene Christian, the team that they lost to, is going to be electric.
Doesn't it make sense to play a home playoff game in Bethlehem in December? Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. How about Lehigh? Jeffrey Jamil, the 1,000-yard receiver. Luke Yoder, 1,000-yard rusher. Rushed for 4 touchdowns against Lafayette, the back-to-back Patriot League champs, led by third-year head coach Kevin Cahill. Seeds 9 through 16 don't get a bye, but they do get a first-round home game. The Rhode Island Rams, first outright conference title in 40 years. Abilene Christian, they've got a win over Tarleton State this year. South Dakota had a 5-overtime win over Southern Illinois. Villanova, 3rd consecutive appearance. Tennessee Tech, the Golden Eagles, 11-1. South Dakota State, Youngstown State, the Southeastern Louisiana Lions out of the Southland, keep your eye on the 12 seed Villanova. They will face Lehigh if they beat Harvard. They've won 22 straight home games entering the FCS playoffs. Running back David Abbott, Offensive Rookie of the Year a season ago, went into the portal. Short time later, he said, "What am I doing? I love it here." They're thrilled to have him. That's a team to watch.
Another team to watch is Youngstown State and quarterback Bo Brungard. Over 4,300 total yards, 48 touchdowns, 24 of those are on the ground. He is a problem still waiting to be solved. This offense is extremely electric, high scoring. They're first in points responsible for, first in total offense, and Brungard, 24 rushing touchdowns. That's second out of everybody, and he's a QB.
One of the best offenses in the country. Well, South Dakota State is one of those FCS programs you expect to be in the playoffs every year. But this year was different. From the beginning, long before week one, the Jackrabbits knew 2025 would be unlike any season they've experienced.
They knew that returning to the playoffs in search of a third national title in 4 seasons would require a kind of fortitude that transcends the playing field. Jeremy Schaap has more.
The 605 Hogs, the offensive line. It's a long-standing tradition to go to a restaurant downtown here in Brookings, and they've been doing this for 3 decades.
Go there every Tuesday after practice. Everyone's hanging out, everyone's laughing, everyone's telling stories, joking around. So I think it just builds a little more relationships and camaraderie.
The Jackrabbits of South Dakota State are more than a team. They are a family. And this year, more than ever before, the Jackrabbits family was confronted with adversity and tragedy, shaking one of the most successful programs in college football to its core.
There was certainly a lot of uncertainty within the program.
I feel like we all kind of felt lost.
Well, what are we going to do? What's going to happen?
Please welcome our new head football coach, Dan Jackson.
The most challenging moments you could ever picture, I saw a team rise up. And I knew that regardless of what we encountered the rest of the season, it wasn't going to stack up to that.
In 2022, 14 years after officially making the jump from Division II to Division I, South Dakota State won its first national championship under longtime coach John Stiegelmeier.
Let the celebration begin. Ring the bell, Jackrabbit Nation. Your football team is the FCS National Champions.
The following year, Jimmy Rogers, an SDSU alumnus, led the Jackrabbits to a second consecutive title.
South Dakota State has won back-to-back national titles.
Man, that was awesome. That was 2 of the best times of my life, especially that first one. Just an insane accomplishment.
In 2024, the Jackrabbits pursued a three-peat, but they were knocked out of the FCS tournament in the semifinals by their arch rivals, the Bison of North Dakota State. 7 days later, Rogers announced he was leaving for Washington State.
There were some people that were angry, A, that Jimmy was leaving, B, that he was making an effort to bring a lot of his players with him, his recruits with him. He brought his whole staff with him.
It was hectic because I really didn't know what to do. I was only here for about 8 months before, and so that's all I kind of knew was how Coach Rogers ran things around here and that staff. So I kind of thought like my only option was to leave.
It all came so fast, and we couldn't talk to the coaches that really left at the time, and we didn't know who our new coaches were, so it was just a weird feeling, a weird time.
Along with Rogers and his assistants, 16 players made the move to Pullman. Amid the upheaval, it seemed all that had been built here at South Dakota State might collapse.
It's very taxing mentally, just not knowing and really not being able to control much. That was very difficult to process.
On New Year's Eve, 3 days after Rogers' departure, South Dakota State hired his replacement, another member of the Jackrabbits fraternity, Dan Jackson.
Don't lose sight of the fact that the journey is the reward.
What does this place mean to you?
It means a lot. I mean, not only was my dream to be a head football coach, my dream is to be the head football coach at South Dakota State. So it's rewarding to be here.
He's not just here to win football games. That's important, no question. He's here to develop student athletes, but he's invested in the community, he's invested in the university, and around here people feel that, like that matters.
Right there, let's go.
He played here. He was an assistant coach here for 8 seasons. But he also coached in the SEC as an assistant at Vanderbilt. And he was the defensive coordinator at Idaho. Then he came home again.
Dan Jackson's hired. Okay, that's great. He's got to put together a staff. And he's got to go to every one of the players and convince them to stay.
I knew that we were coming into some chaos, but you just get to work. I literally took that sheet of paper and I just started calling them one by one. Phone calls till midnight and getting up at 6 in the morning and just going again and taking notes and who's in, who's out, while also trying to assemble a staff.
In the days following his return to Brookings, Jackson built a new coaching staff, leaning on the Jackrabbits brotherhood.
Sit back, good. Bring your hips, white moving.
Hiring the staff was critical for me to have the right amount of Jackrabbits that knew and loved South Dakota State.
You talk about having 3 coordinators, your offensive, your defensive, and your special teams coordinator who have gone other places, and they wanted to come back.
Jackson had stabilized the program, but then on June 25th, all of the Jackrabbits football challenges suddenly seemed insignificant.
Some sad news out of Brookings tonight. South Dakota State University Athletics says running back Nate White has passed away. He was 20 years old.
A transfer from Wisconsin, looking forward to his first season in Brookings, Nate White had died in his sleep from natural causes. A medical event had disrupted his breathing and heart functions.
You know, the initial thing is calling his mom, which was the biggest challenge, you know, and I wanted to be the one to do that.
You told her.
Yeah. She, try to not relive those moments a ton, but calling Crystal was tough. But I didn't want her to hear that from anybody other than the head football coach.
I remember just going in the stairwell in that building, just crying for a long time. It was like the whole football change happened, and then that happens. At a certain part, you kind of just feel like hopeless in a way.
It was just devastating for all of us to kind of just hear that. But the biggest thing was coming together that night, putting a memorial together for his family, and just coming together as a team.
This season, the Jackrabbits have committed themselves to honoring Nate White by playing every down as brothers. And that's exactly what they did in Week 2 at third-ranked Montana State.
When you got 2 versus 3, I mean, this thing is as big as it gets.
It was a crazy environment, one of the best in FCS, and we were put to the test. We were down, and then we were up, and then back down, and going to overtime. That was kind of where you see, like, we stuck together.
Wow, this is going to be so close.
And he is short.
Short of the first down.
Wow.
South Dakota State once again knocks off Montana State.
Our guys have been through so much that, you know, any sort of adversity that hits in the game isn't going to faze them. We're just going to keep rolling.
That was a big win for Dan. That was a big win for everyone in this program to say, okay, we can be the same kind of team under Dan Jackson that we were under Jimmy Rogers and John Stiegelmeier.
To start this season, South Dakota State reeled off 7 consecutive wins. But then quarterback Chase Mason suffered a foot injury, and the Jackrabbits lost 4 in a row. In the season finale, with their postseason hopes in the balance and trailing in overtime, the team that endured so much change this year and so much heartbreak found a way.
Jack Henry will sling one to the end zone. Touchdown, Jackrabbits! An incredible comeback for South Dakota State to get to 8 wins and punch their ticket to the FCS postseason.
I want a team that feels that they've accomplished the goal of reaching their highest potential, that handled any adversity that was thrown their way.
Play for each other. Let's go.
This team will be talked about for the rest of South Dakota State history.
It's a party, it's a party, it's a party!
As the 14th seed in the tournament, the Jackrabbits will host New Hampshire in the opening round of the playoffs.
Pasadena, New Year's Day 1934. Stanford is heavily favored to win the Rose Bowl. But the Lions of Columbia run a trick play, KF79, and it produces the game's only score. It was the fourth appearance and second victory in the Rose Bowl for a team from the Ivy League. That was almost 92 years ago. Since then, no Ivy League team has played in a bowl game, any bowl game, or any postseason game, which is remarkable because the institutions that have given us so many of America's leaders gave us football too. The sport was popularized and for decades dominated by the so-called Ancient Eight. In the beginning, in the second half of the 19th century, football was essentially created by Ivy League players and coaches. Walter Camp, Pop Warner, Amos Alonzo Stagg, John Heisman. They could all be on college football's Mount Rushmore. Their names still familiar, and they were all Ivy Leaguers. From the 1870s up through the 1930s, the Ivy League racked up dozens of national titles. But then, after World War II, the Ivy schools came together and decided to de-emphasize sports, especially football, because they didn't like what they saw as the game's growing importance. Just like that, the Ivies simply withdrew from the national stage in football, even as they allowed their teams in every other sport to compete for championships. And they've won plenty of them.
Cornell will bring a championship home to Ithaca.
Now, the Ivy League is back in the football championship picture. This year, for the first time, the league will send its champion to the FCS playoffs, accepting an automatic bid. Finally, the Ivies get a chance to win it all, again.
It's caught, touchdown!
Surely Walter Camp and Pop Warner, Stagg and Heisman, and so many others would say, "Hear, hear, it's about time. After all, we built this game."
In the annual matchup known simply as The Game, Yale put an end to Harvard's undefeated season. The Bulldogs controlled the game from the start and upset the Crimson 45-28 to capture the Ivy League's first ever automatic bid to the FCS playoffs. They get the first automatic bid. Harvard gets the first at-large bid for the Ivy. They get two teams in their first year.
Which is a little bit surprising, but Harvard was undefeated going into the game in which they ended up losing. Ezekiel Larry, the outside linebacker, was outstanding. But, man, quarterback Jaden Craig for Harvard, he holds the all-time record for passing touchdowns. This is his first year as a full-time starter, split reps last year. So the offense is able to put up points for Harvard. Hopefully they can recover from that loss in the game.
And they will take on Villanova in the opening round. Just 5 losses since 2023 for Harvard. So the first time for the Ivy in the FCS playoffs. It's been a long time for Tennessee Tech. Located roughly halfway between Nashville and Knoxville, Tennessee Tech football has long been an afterthought in the football-crazy Volunteer state. From 1922 through 2024, Tech made only 4 postseason appearances. A pair of Tangerine Bowls, the 1972 Grantland Rice Bowl, and one lone first-round FCS playoff exit in 2011.
And now, a second-year coach and his new approach have the Golden Eagles back in the second season, and for the first time, dreaming of a whole lot more. Here's Ryan McGee.
All right, take a look at this, guys. The Tennessee Tech football weight. Grab a shovel, jump in the ditch, and dig. What's this mean for us? Number 1, there's no job too small. Number 2, whatever we are asked to accomplish, we will collectively, and I have a teammate at my left and at my right. What are we willing to sacrifice to accomplish something we will remember for the rest of our lives?
You don't need to rebuild something unless it has fallen apart. The Tennessee Tech football program had long ago decayed into disrepair, and even worse, indifference, settling for a middle-of-the-pack life in the Ohio Valley Conference.
And UT Martin takes the lead over Tennessee Tech.
Traditionally, the Tennessee Tech program has been, I'd say, very mediocre.
I think we've always had the guys that can go out and win football games, but we lacked a lot of discipline. You know, we lacked a lot of camaraderie.
They'd only had 17 seasons and 104 where they'd won 7 games or more. So the culture and the negativity around the program had to change.
Coach Bobby Wilder lives for injecting life into a college football team. He took the reins at Old Dominion in 2009 to build a team from scratch. In 2011, the Monarchs' first competitive football season in 68 years, they finished 9-2, the best ever record for a first-year FCS program. So in December 2023, when he was hired to lead the Golden Eagles of Tennessee Tech, Wilder understood the assignment.
Coach Wilder joining us today, and he is a proven winner. We're excited to bring him onto this team.
When I interviewed for this job, I wasn't thinking I was going to take it if I got offered, and I had such an impactful meeting with President Oldham, and we talked about the blueprint for success.
He quickly won me over with his passion for championship football at the FCS level.
When Coach Wilder got here, he kind of reached into the bag of tricks that not a lot of us had. He got here, gave us a new hope in a sense, gave us a lot of change in this program and around Cookeville.
He held everybody to a standard. He just elevated everything.
There ain't a lot of history at Tennessee Tech, right? No. So how does a man, how does a team come in and turn this around in such a short period of time?
From the moment we wake up in the morning, our feet hit the floor, till our head hits the pillow at night, we're going to be all about being elite at whatever we're doing, and we've slowly been able to get that culture to where it is now.
Hey, good morning, everybody. A great day for football on the plateau.
Reminder to everybody, guys, on what I addressed Sunday with the team, what I talked to you about yesterday, the 6 seconds of aggressive execution. That's a major focal point this week.
Wilder's blueprint for winning came together faster than anyone imagined. Well, anyone except Wilder. In 2024, the perpetually underachieving Golden Eagles put together their first winning season in over a decade and nearly made it into the FCS postseason.
At the end of last season, we finished in a four-way tie for the playoffs, and in that four-way tie, we were the only team not to make the playoffs.
I use that as a motivational point to start a theme of run it back. And what that meant is let's all come back together. Let's not go in the portal. As coaches, let's not take other jobs. Let's do something that's never been done before at Tennessee Tech.
You know, we have a lot of different sayings, but one of them is standard, and all the guys in the team have bought into it, and it's made a huge difference. This is my 5th season here, and this is the best I've felt about the program. We got a lot of playmakers.
Rolling, looking, touchdown! Play action. Sparris throws, it's Courtney, he's got a touchdown! Are you kidding me with that run? Touchdown, Tennessee Tech! 9-0, first time since 1952.
You know, one day you're going to bring your son to this field and walk on this turf, and what are you going to tell him? You know, and that's the story that I think a lot of us seniors kind of carry with us on a day-to-day basis, you know, and how we're going to move and what we want to leave here.
No longer the sleepy team from Cookeville, Tennessee Tech is a full-on reconstruction zone, mentally and literally. Undefeated in the OVC Big South Football Association and poised for a postseason run, all by following a simple, sweat-drenched mantra.
Yeah, you talk about grab a shovel. Look at this stadium renovation. There are some shovels. Working on building this new stadium, and then there's a lot of shovels about to be grabbed right out there in the practice field. That grab a shovel mindset. Here we go. You're down in that ditch, and you're digging, and you're exhausted, you want to quit. Then all of a sudden, there's a person on your left with a shovel, and there's a person on your right with your shovel, and now you get extra motivation and energy, and that's what this team has to do. Everybody's got to be willing to jump in the ditch, grab a shovel, and dig.
And you got to trust that the dude to your left, the dude to your right is doing the same exact thing for you.
There's no job too big, no job too small.
From the top of the roster to the bottom, every single person on it is bought in to the mission. Everyone wants to win. They want to play. They want to compete.
Now he's going to walk into the end zone. Touchdown, Golden Eagles.
Grab a shovel play of the week belongs to the punt team. Grab a shovel play of the week belongs to Trey Holloway. Grab a shovel play of the week belongs to the defense.
Interception, pick six.
the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Golden Eagles.
He's got a touchdown.
And he scores. Oh, big hits.
Everybody has to do their job. Everybody's got to do their part. You know, grab a shovel, jump in that ditch, and start digging.
Touchdown, Golden Eagles. Outright champions of the conference.
Coach Wilder has done a remarkable job. They started 10-0 for the first time in program history. In fact, Sam, their only loss this season was to an FBS team, Kentucky.
And they ended the season with the win over UT Martin on a late field goal. But this season, head coach Bobby Wilder is coaching his son Drew, an offensive lineman who transferred from Eastern Illinois.
And this summer, Tennessee Tech will leave the OVC Big South for the Southern Conference.
How did Tarleton State, located 70 miles southwest of Fort Worth, become an FCS power? The Texans spent decades competing in the NAIA and Division II, but that all changed after 2019 when Tarleton State finished 11-1 and dominated the Lone Star Conference.
Touchdown, Tarleton!
We saw the natural kind of transition would be led from Division II to Division I, and you couple that with a very fast-growing institution and being part of the DFW market, it made perfect sense for us to make the transition.
Per NCAA rules, the Texans had to wait 4 years before becoming eligible for postseason play.
That was a really difficult time convincing first-class student athletes to transfer or to enroll at an institution where you aren't able to compete for championships. But yet we had a winning season every single year.
In year 4, we were 8-3. And had we been eligible for the playoffs, we would have got a bid. Last season, we won 10 ball games and made the playoffs. The first year we were eligible.
Goes up above to Cooper, who's wide open. Takes it down and into the end zone. Tarleton State moves on in their first ever FCS playoff game.
And this year, the Texans' meteoric rise continued with a double overtime victory over an FBS school, the Army Black Knights.
What a moment in program history. Plant that purple flag.
It was amazing to see the number of people that would come up to us at West Point and they'd say, hey, where is Tarleton State University? Now, they usually mispronounced it, but the reality of it is it gave us a chance to put our institution on the map across the board.
Tarleton State is certainly making their mark on the FCS. In their second full season of postseason eligibility, the Texans won their conference and are a top 8 seed. For kicker Brad Larson, it's the biggest stage he's ever been on, but not the most difficult challenge he's ever faced. Lisa Salters has the story of how Larson has spent a lifetime overcoming and giving back.
It's a 37-yard field goal, one of the biggest in school history. Can you imagine?
I said it's going to come down to me. Stadium gets twice as loud, and all I could hear is my heart.
Field goals are never just about the distance traveled or the path taken. They also require focus and fortitude, poise, and perseverance. For Tarleton State kicker Brad Larson, those qualities were developed very early in life.
The day he was born was amazing. He was born completely healthy and just beautiful. His dad was super excited. He went and got him a Green Bay Packer outfit as soon as we found out that it was a boy.
He was my first son. I just remember just being so happy to, to have one daughter and one son, just knowing that, one day him and I are gonna be playing sports together, watching sports.
But those plans were almost immediately interrupted when Brad was 4 weeks old.
He was still in our room in the bassinet next to the bed, and I heard like a sniffly sound and looked down, and he had blood. He had a bloody nose, which that was alarming.
Something was blocking the air passage, and so he ended up having a surgery to clear the passage. And the doctors told us it should stop bleeding by the end of the day, and it really never stopped bleeding 100%.
Our pediatrician was out of town at the time. I would call and talk to the nurse, and she'd be like, well, you know, there's always an explanation, right? And I just had a gut feeling that it wasn't what they were thinking it was. The day that our pediatrician got back, I showed up about 5 minutes before the office closed, and he took one look at Bradley and said, let's walk on over to the hospital.
Brad was immediately admitted to the University of Kentucky Children's Hospital and diagnosed with acute megakaryoblast leukemia, a very rare type of blood cancer that attacks the bone marrow's ability to create healthy cells and can severely affect growth and development.
You know, it's kind of like a parent's worst nightmare. Doctors told us survival rate was around 25%.
We were told to get our affairs in order, you know, spend as much time with them. Don't take any moment for granted. We had several very scary days. There was one day his platelets got so low and he just started bleeding out, and I thought that was gonna be, you know, his time. Sorry. I mean, I just had to be strong, you know, because he needed me to be there for him.
3 rounds of chemotherapy every day. You know, they were taking blood. Usually on the weekends, we'd watch football together. We celebrated our holidays in that hospital room. We had Halloween, and I remember Stacy got him a Superman costume, and I thought that was very fitting.
After spending 17 weeks in the hospital, Brad went into remission at 6 months old and was allowed to go home.
One day they came in and said that they couldn't detect the blast in his bone marrow anymore. They were so careful to what they said. They didn't want to ever give me a false sense of hope. I really believe they thought we were going to come back.
The doctor said, now, you know, I want to just kind of level set your expectations. You know, with all the treatment he had, he's not gonna be your athletic kid. You know, and he may struggle a little bit, you know, academically, but you know, we're just obviously just very happy that he was alive.
Bradley, you find a pumpkin?
Within weeks of returning home, Brad doubled his weight, and despite the doctor's concern about his development, he continued to hit one growth milestone after another.
The doctor tells you he's not going to be athletic, but it doesn't mean you can't play sports, right? So he started playing soccer when he was 3 years old, and you could tell he had something special. You know, I was just happy that he was out there kicking a ball, but he could run faster than everybody, he could dribble faster than everybody. I just remember watching him and just saying, wow, this is not normal.
Gave me an outlet. I made a lot of trips to the hospital after the aftermath for checkups, like twice a year, and I dreaded it. I was scared that the cancer was gonna come back. I mean, that was a big fear of my childhood. I would cry at night, I'd cry in the shower, I'd have bad dreams. But you play sports and you step foot on the field, you're not worrying. You're having fun, having a good time with your team.
It really kept him busy and took his mind off of things. And I mean, when we say like he played sports, he poured himself into sports.
By the time he reached high school, the family had moved to Texas, and soccer had been replaced by football and a new purpose. Brad partnered with Alex's Lemonade Stand, a charity dedicated to fighting childhood cancer.
In high school, we'd be on the bus going back to our facility, and I just can't wait to get on my phone and put how many points I scored that game, because the money's in pledge amounts. It means the world to me. Because I know that my parents struggled during that time. I know it was very hard for them. And I just know how much that would mean to families.
In 2023 and 2024, Brad continued to raise money while leading Division II Angelo State in scoring before transferring to Tarleton State for his final season.
My dream was always to go play at the Division I level. I just wanted to see if there was a better opportunity out there for me.
The Army game was on a Friday night. Wednesday morning, he called me and said, Dad, I'm doing the kickoffs and the field goals and the PATs. And knowing that he was going to be the starter playing against Army at West Point on national TV, I mean, that was what he's worked his whole life for.
The senior transfer from Angelo State, Brad Larson from Prosper, Texas. Here we go to shock the nation. And it is good! Tarleton State takes down Army. What a moment in program history.
In one moment, the boy who was never meant to play sports delivered Tarleton State's biggest win ever.
I went straight to my family. My dad was he was electric. I could just see my mom just bawling. That was my favorite moment.
It was kind of hard not to have in the back of my mind what those doctors had said to us all those years ago. He's not going to be your athlete. He's not going to be your superstar. I thought of just how special it was to be there and what a miracle he was.
I think about my journey a lot, having almost a constant pressure in your life, on the field, off the field. All that leads up to where I'm at now. The fact that I am here, that God has put me on this earth, I feel like that it's for a reason.
Brad ended up raising $14,000 in donations off of the kick against Army, and as of today has raised more than $50,000 to fight childhood cancer. And at a recent game against Eastern Kentucky, he was reunited with one of the nurses that took care of him when he was a baby. What a story. What a story this entire program has been.
Outstanding. This season, 11 wins. Last season, 10 wins. Back in 2019, they were playing in Division II, and now this meteoric rise has been amazing. A top 5 scoring offense. They're hitting on all cylinders.
It's been terrific to watch. Again, think about that journey. 6 years ago, you're a Division II program, and now you have a bye, and you're a top 8 national seed. Tarleton State will take on the winner of North Dakota and Tennessee Tech in their first game. Coverage of the FCS playoffs will be on the ESPN family of networks starting Saturday. The national championship game will be on ESPN January 5th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It is one of the biggest rivalries in the FCS, with one of the biggest trophies. And you have to admit, it's got the best nickname, the Brawl of the Wild, between Montana and Montana State.
The annual battle between the Grizzlies and the Bobcats divides Big Sky country. Ryan McGee gives us a history lesson on one of the most intense rivalries in all of sports.
My name is Gene Tripp Jr. I've lived in Missoula for 87 years, or 77 years. I've had cows and horses all my life, lived around the university all my life, got recruited by the Cats and the Grizz, but I wanted to be a Grizz, and I'm into hunting, fishing, and Grizz football.
Montanans are proud of who they are and where they're from. They love their home and they love to work. But out here, beneath the literal big sky, there is one sport and one game they love more than anything.
So many kids from the state of Montana. This is their Super Bowl, the best rivalry game, arguably in the college football landscape.
The Grizz Cat game.
Cat Grizz all the way.
I mean, C comes before G anyways. I don't know why anyone would call it Grizz Cat. It's Cat Grizz.
Just tell them to check that overall record. Pretty self-explanatory if you ask me.
You betcha. However one says it, they are guaranteed to anger half of Montana. There are 204 miles of interstate between Missoula and Bozeman. And to the fans of the Montana Grizzlies and Montana State Bobcats, anger is the point in a rivalry that so perfectly divides the state while also so perfectly defining it.
That disdain and that dislike for them is just born in you.
It's small communities where there's people on both sides that are going to argue it probably every day of the year. It's within families that there's people on both sides.
I don't even like going to Missoula, spending much time there. My fiance lives there, so I have to go there a lot more than I wish I did.
As a player, you're not allowed to talk about the game until it's the week of the game. You're not allowed to use Montana in front of their name. The team doesn't stay in Bozeman.
The hotels are too expensive, so no, I don't like to stay in Bozeman.
You want to go full Montana? How about this? The actual title of the game, introduced by a local sports writer in 1997, Brawl of the Wild.
Run, hit, finish, every play.
It just encapsulates everything that the state's about. It's about toughness. I think it's more physical than any other game.
The out-of-state guys are like, wow, this is the craziest game I've ever played in. The atmosphere is amazing, and it's just one of the funnest games I've ever played in.
The most played rivalry west of the Mississippi was first played in 1897. William McKinley was president. Montana had been a state for barely 8 years, and the legal forward pass was still 9 years away. A Montana-sized mountain of malice, equaled in elevation by a pile of memories and moments, like the streak.
It's a lopsided rivalry, and we like keeping it that way.
16 in a row, starting in 1986.
Back to pass. They go for the corner. Touchdown, Montana.
He's got a man in the end zone. Touchdown, Grizzly.
He's going to the end zone. Touchdown, Montana. 55 yards.
We literally talked about the streak, keeping the streak alive. It was very intense and a lot of pride.
27 seconds left on the clock. They pitch to Kinnaman. He's running to his left. Touchdown, Bobcats. They are going bonkers here in Bozeman.
You didn't want to be known as the team that ended the streak.
Here is the kick. Chris Hefner, 37 yards. The kick is up, and it is good. The Montana Grizzlies have come back to win this football game 27-25. The Grizzlies are going nuts on the field. The Bobcats can't believe it.
I was maybe one or two, but I still hear about it today. You know, Travis Lule going out there as a freshman, winning it, breaking the streak.
15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Bobcats. It's over. The streak is over. The game is over. And the Bobcats end the streak where it began in Missoula. Oh, baby.
And then Miracle in Missoula, Tucker Yates punching out on the goal line for the Cats to win.
Eastwood did not make it. Ball out. And the Bobcats get it. The Bobcats win the game.
It's something that every single game, every memory, every series, every play sticks in your heart if you're a player that played in it.
2025 marked the 124th edition of the contest between the two schools, separated by the continental divide that inspired the bronze behemoth for which they fight.
It's the Great Divide Trophy. The team that wins gets to take it home, and it gets to sit in their trophy case until the next game. They bring it out, and then the winner takes it.
Montana State will also win the conference title outright.
The main rule is every time you walk by it, you got to touch it, just to remember how important it is and why it needs to stay in our building.
This game not only sets the tone for the next 364 days within the state, but also sets the stage for the chasing of much bigger and much more immediate dreams.
It's the end of your first season and the beginning of the second, and the team that does come out on top in this game typically is the one who has the best chance to go and capture a national championship.
You come out of it battle-tested. You've been in a big-time environment. The fact that that sits there in November right before it gets started is no better place.
The latest edition of the Brawl of the Wild did not disappoint. The Cats beat the Grizz 31-28 in a memorable slugfest. Montana State captured that huge Great Divide Trophy and the Big Sky Championship. The Cats have won 7 of the last 9 meetings. As the number 2 and number 3 seeds, Montana State and Montana could face each other in the semifinals.
And that would be a first because, believe it or not, they've never faced off in the playoffs.
These two teams have some great players. Who should we be looking out for in the playoffs?
Michael Wortham, he's a return specialist, also a receiver, and he can play some running back as well. He leads the team in receiving yards. He's 5th in the nation in the FCS level in return yards, kick return yards specifically, and also he's 2nd on the team in rushing, so they will use him in a myriad of ways.
Leave it for me to take the defensive side of things. How about Caden Dowler of Montana State? Was huge in the Brawl of the Wild. Had this pick 6 to give the Bobcats the lead that it would not relinquish. 3 straight games with a pick, back-to-back games with a pick 6 after back-to-back season-ending injuries. All right, who else to look out for?
Marquise Buchanan. He's a wide receiver from Rhode Island. He's a hometown kid, so he plays for Rhode Island, but he's from Providence. Averages 17.1 yards per reception, 6'4", 190. Could have transferred anywhere, but he decided to stay home.
Here's someone else to watch. How about a freshman? Quarterback Braden Atkinson from Mercer did not play in that first game that they lost. Since he's been plugged in as the starter, they haven't lost a game. Head coach Mike Jacobs calls him wise beyond his years. He's quite talented as well, as is the rest of this field. This is going to be a fun and exciting playoffs. Anything can and will happen.
Thank you for watching Game On, Journey to the NCAA Championship. We will see you in Nashville, January 5th.